What's the most effed up thing you've seen at work? A guy knew he was getting fired, so he took a shit in the trash can in his cubicle. Nobody knew if he did it there or took it into the bathroom to shit in it, but he did it one way or another. He got called up to HR and was let go. Then the people working in his area started complaining about the shit smell, and, sure enough, I found it in his little trash can. Then I called him to ask about it, and he said it was an old burrito he forgot to throw out. It was not an old burrito he forgot to throw out. In a way, it might have indeed been an old burrito. Summer job as a teenager was landscaping at an old people's home. Old dude hung himself off his balcony, but he wasn't fully dead and was still moving around. It was horrific to come across that. I probably only looked long enough to recognize what I was seeing, I dunno, maybe 5 seconds, before I turned and ran to get help. But I can still see it decades later if I close my eyes. The most effed up thing I saw was my boss being stabbed by his wife. The most I saw someone who had fallen into an industrial shredder and unfortunately went through. I was a head lifeguard/lifeguard instructor. The worst was probably a 15-year-old boy that dove of the diving board, cracked his head open on the bottom of the pool, and was unconscious. My coworker and I had to do a deep water spinal rescue, which is basically the hardest rescue at a pool. The kid not only survived, but became a fellow lifeguard himself the next summer. Saw a guy fall 40 floors onto a large pile of cast iron piping as I was walking off for lunch. Didn't end up eating lunch after that. A guy losing a finger because he tried moving an industrial strength fan without turning it off first and his finger slipped through the grate. I once provided care for a man with dementia that often led to him being paranoid. His brother, an ex-police officer, was stealing from him. He would pick up his pension but steal about 10 to 20% of it each time. When the gentleman I cared for called his brother out on it, his brother would always blame his dementia for his suspicions, and then guilt-trip him into apologizing for doubting him. Eventually we were asked to collect his pension instead of his brother. After his brother refused to provide a full paper trail of his pension and to deliver the money in the sealed envelope it's given in at the office, his brother kicked off big time, trying to get us to stop providing care so he could keep exploiting him. We stood our ground, duty of care above all else, and our man got the pension he earned through his life in full. I saw lots of other messed up stuff in that job, but there's something about a man's older brother exploiting and emotionally gaslighting him which just hits hard. Saw one guy drop dead, office job. One get an arm cut off, pulp mill. One get degloved, paper mill. But the winner was the day we walked into work at an auto parts store and found the assistant manager effing another assistant manager in the S. Just going at it. Coworker ended up overdosing and no one in his family told his dad. The only reason his dad found out his son died was because the dad called the company to see if his son still worked there. My boss had to be the one to tell him the bad news because no one in the guy's family was willing to tell him. Guy cut his finger in the deli slicer and tried to keep cutting lunch meat for a customer with blood everywhere. 2 things. Pulled up to work. Dude runs out of the store and is immediately shot by a dude behind me. he was stealing and the other guy just shot him. I called out that day. I was the only guy on the front end and a dude had went into the bathroom like 50 minutes ago. So they send me to check, found him slumped over dead. He overdosed and died in our effing bathroom. I went home after that. A guy at my old job got fired and asked if he could sit in my truck while he waited for a ride. I said yes because we were work friends. Well, his ride showed up, and was waiting for him for like 15 minutes, so I went to my truck to see what he was doing. I opened the door to see him passed out with a needle in his arm. He came to and was very ashamed that he was shooting up in my truck. I honestly just felt bad for him. He was previously a recovering addict, but relapse got the better of him. I hope he's doing better now. Edit. Other than that, saw a guy blow himself up and watched his head fly over my helicopter. Both were pretty crazy, I guess. I work at a trauma center. Dude was getting divorced, and didn't want his wife to get the kids in the divorce, so he shot them dead. He then called his wife, told her what he did, put the gun under his chin, and pulled the trigger. The kicker? He missed. The gun was pointed too far forward, and he missed his brain. He did, however, blow his entire face off. After several months in the hospital, he was tried and convicted of murder, and sentenced to life in prison. Worked at Subway for several years. Had a lady change her baby's poopy diaper right on one of the tables. Customers complained about it and I had to ask her to go to the bathroom instead. She left the dirty diaper open, face down, on the table. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, please consider liking and subscribing to our channel.